Welcome to Real Bestseller. This is your fast-track blueprint to becoming a best-selling author. And before we get into the details of the strategy here, about the concepts to pull together your bestseller, I want to back up one quick second and talk about something. Whether you have a book or don't have a book, there's a problem that most people don't even perceive as a big one, but it really is. This is the space. This is probably the smallest space of books you're ever going to see. It's been reported that there are over 700,000 new titles every single year coming out online on Amazon's, actually in any bookstore. So with 700,000 new titles every year, plus the existing several million titles that are out there, how do you possibly compete in the space? How do you position yourself as the authority in your niche, right? And what we're going to talk about is doing that by becoming an Amazon bestseller. But not just an Amazon bestseller for a day. We're going to talk about creating it for a lifetime and creating a business out of that. And that does not come lightly. It does not come simply. But it can be done very strategically when you become the authority in your niche. And that authority actually comes from becoming an author. So let's get to it. The strategy is very simple. Number one, there's got to be a big idea. And I mean a big, huge problem that's not being solved out there. And that comes from research. You may have clients and customers whom you've helped over the years, and it may be a common problem that you're solving in terms of sales or marketing or positioning, customer service, operations, doesn't matter what it is. But there's somebody else out there right now already talking about probably some of these ideas. And it's hard to be very unique in the marketplace. There are certainly more things to be invented, but when it comes to ideas, most of the books that come out there are basically a similar concept has been published earlier, and the author's bringing their unique perspective and solution to that problem. I'm going to take this one step further. I'm going to say the big idea for your book or your brand does not necessarily have to be your idea. Think about that. You may have some great brilliance and some ideas and strategies, but I want to talk to you about something which will actually make you more money and position you as a true problem solver in your niche. And that's by taking that big idea and actually focusing on getting your idea from your crowd. You may have a great idea, but what if your idea does not resonate with your target audience? What if you totally miss the boat? I can't tell you how many hundreds of authors I've seen out there, spend a lot of time and energy and resources pulling their book together, and after it comes out, having it fall flat on their face. I mean, there is no, it's not just art. There's some science behind this. And you see it in Hollywood. There's flops all the time. They spend millions of dollars on research, and the movie still flops because they missed it. They missed the mark. And that comes from not being in tune with your actual audience. So when it comes to designing the strategy of becoming a real bestseller, I'm going to focus on your audience first and foremost, not just at the beginning, but actually during and after the launch itself. So that comes from a couple of key situations here. Number one, there is a pain that your audience is feeling right now, and you may think you know what it is, but until you actually go out there and ask and get real feedback from your audience, you may be missing the boat. So I'm going to suggest you do a few things here and talking to your audience and asking them directly, what is their biggest pain that's not being resolved right now? And why isn't it being resolved? And one way to do that is to go look at your competitors' books and look at all the 3-star reviews out there. My friend Robert Crowe came up with this idea, and I love it because a person who writes a 5-star review, they love you, it's great. There's no big benefit to learning anything from a 5-star review, and a 1-star review is the same. Somebody's really angry and ticked off, and who knows what their baggage is. But anybody who writes a 3-star review means a few things. Number one, it probably means they've taken the time to actually read the book. And number two, they've given you some constructive criticism into what was missing and what they liked about it, and maybe a little key or insight into what they could do to resolve this missing component. If you find enough 3-star reviews in your marketplace on the same topic, and you find a common thread amongst those, man, you are onto something. You are onto a very big idea of something that's not being addressed. And that comes to the solution. And you can actually have a solution that's not your idea. It's presented by the crowd, by your audience. And if you can position a book and a theme and a brand and even perhaps a product inside of that solution, you've got something which most people don't have, which is a unique position. And I mean very unique. Something that is not being addressed and that needs to be addressed. So that comes to boiling down to the most important concept of this entire blueprint, which is your crowd is the key to everything. They're the key to your positioning, understanding their pain, helping you provide the solution, and even one step further, your crowd can help you with the content. So once you've talked to your people through surveys, phone calls, actually meeting them face to face, even chat if you have to, but actually getting a conversation started with a dozen, 2 dozen, or more of your target audience will help you craft your message, craft the position, and even get stories. Right? There's stories out there that your audience and your readers are having to experience that will make great content pieces for your book. Okay, this is not anything new I'm talking about. I mean, you take a look at one of the largest book franchises in history, Chicken Soup for the Soul. Hundreds of millions of copies sold, and the authors didn't write a word. I mean, they had the audience actually create all of the content, which is not what I'm suggesting here, but I'm suggesting it's a good theme to latch onto in terms of getting people's stories, and then, of course, having them relate their painful stories and the solutions you provide. Man, that's your book. That takes care of a big chunk of your content. So your crowd can help you with the stories. And we can appeal to them through their ego, actually including that story in the book, which is great because it not only validates the message and the content and the principles behind the story and the book and the theme, but it helps them get what they need, which probably the same thing as you, just more exposure. So our crowd actually helps us with the content, with validating the theme of the book, and we use their ego to help get permission to actually put the stories in the book itself. And of course, this leads to the next step, which is the crowd not only helps you create the content and the positioning, but they can actually help you with the marketing as well. Crowd marketing is a huge thing. You've seen the big success with Kickstarter, Indiegogo, things like that. But when you have your book properly positioned and your audience's stories are embedded in this book and they've actually told you what the theme and the solution is, they're going to help you with pre-sales. You can actually go to them saying, listen, you're in this book, would you help me launch it? And this endorsement is a great thing when it comes from multiple people, whether they be a no-name client who's not a celebrity or anything, up to people who are your mentors and people you revere and have learned from, and getting them to actually become launch partners, because you can go to them and let them know that your book and your theme is a critical missing piece in the marketplace. Here's why. And you've got 10, 20 stories of customers that you both service inside this book telling you that this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. So having the crowd involved with you when it comes to the positioning, the marketing, launching it, pre-sales, endorsing it, it gives you social proof, and it helps make this whole thing so seamless. No longer do you have to take this linear approach of sitting down and writing a book and getting it edited and publishing it and marketing it, hope for some sales. Now you've pre-done everything. Your audience has helped you position the book. Your audience has helped you market the book. They've given you social proof, and they actually can help you launch it when the time comes. So that's the essence of getting a book done properly in this 3D blueprint that I'm sharing with you here. So what this does is it gets your audience to help you build your brand. All right, you'll get brand validation from solving their pain, including their stories. And this triangle works in a synergistic format with a couple other components. Once you've solved their pain and used their stories to create a brand for yourself in a book, you get something else here. The crowd validates your content. And that crowd starts with the readers. It starts with the stories in the book and then expands from there. You can get media validation because the media loves a good one-on-one story about a hero's journey. And you get third-party endorsements from Amazon, of course, becoming a bestseller. When this triangle goes between the crowd to social media to Amazon, you got something very, very powerful. You've got a brand that is going to guaranteed make a difference in the lives of your clients. It has guaranteed sales, and it just plain works. It's all locked together because you've focused on the audience from the get-go. You've focused on the audience for your launch and even after the fact. So this is the 3D blueprint, and that's my short version of becoming a real bestseller, becoming slightly famous without writing a word. And if you want to find out more about how to pull all this together for yourself, I'll be happy to help you with that. You can go to realbestseller.com/apply. This is Doug Crowe from Real Bestseller.